Over my last 17 years in the stock market, I've been able to pick two pretty big companies early on. And my goal for this video is to share my honest opinion about which company I think is next. As you can see, I've found Netflix at $20, AMD at $12. Now I'm going to share which one I think is my number three and the 5 signals I'm watching to see if it stays on track to be one of my best investments yet. Opendoor Technologies, ticker symbol OPEN. Who are they? They are currently an iBuyer in disguise that is transforming into a software company. And that is where the huge value comes in. The reason I'm making this video right now is because the risk reward is probably at its peak level right now at $5 a share. But I've been tracking it since last September, and everything about it gives signals for a stock that has real potential, both from the chart to the fundamentals. So, keeping that in mind, there's actually 5 signals I'm watching to see if it stays on track to be successful and if it's worth staying invested in, investing more in. So let's go over the 5 signals. Number 1, getting added back to the Russell 2000 index, which they were on previously, but then when they dropped down to 50 cents a share, they got knocked off because they were disqualified. But ranking day just passed on April 30th, and they qualified again. So we just have to wait till the end of May to see if they get added back in June. That is a great way to get back on the path of being a stock with really good potential. Let's look at signal number 2. Signal number 2, to see if they can achieve profitability through vertical integration. What does that mean? It means basically being a one-stop shop for anybody looking to buy or sell a home, which under the new CEO, that's his whole goal, to basically give them the offer, give them the mortgage, give them the closing services. And I think just to make it an end-to-end experience for them to basically extract as much earning potential they can through every transaction. And I can tell you, being invested in commercial real estate, that is the number one key to being successful in the commercial space, is vertical integration. You basically just provide all the answers and just make it easy on your customers. Customers love it, and it creates really good brand recognition. So let's check out the number 3. Number 3, transitioning from an iBuyer to the Amazon business model, which after they have step number 2 in place, number 3 will be that much easier because they will actually be able to have the vertical integration handled, meaning they can do exactly like Amazon does, make it a seamless process, and they'll get away from holding so many homes and being asset heavy from month to month to just being a market maker, just being the place to go online to buy and sell a home, bypassing realtors, paying realtor fees. It'll just be kind of like the brand name of, if you want to buy and sell a house, go to opendoor.com. Even right now, part of their vertical integration, they're actually offering mortgages in some cases for way less of a rate than the current market rate is. I think right now the rate is around 6 or 7% for some people. But through Opendoor, you can actually get it for under 5%. So if you can get a better rate, make it an easy process, that is how they're going to win this and transition from an iBuyer to basically being the Amazon of buying and selling houses. So let's check out step number 4. Signal number 4, this is where it really gets exciting. After they're vertically integrated, make their website a one-stop shop and just second nature for people to go to buy and sell. that's when they can really get into unlocking their full value, which also has to do with the Clarity Act. They're actually waiting on that to get passed in Congress. Once the Clarity Act gets passed, that's when they can actually start to, in reality, introduce tokenization of real estate. So it'll be kind of like the crowning jewel on what they're trying to accomplish. And they can't really get to this step before the legislation passes, before the other two steps are, taken care of. But as soon as they can tokenize real estate, people can basically buy and sell shares of portions of properties, and it'll just make real estate so much more accessible. And part of their mission of solving a huge problem of making real estate more affordable and more accessible. So much easier said than done, but with the moves they made so far, it seems like they have the right CEO to do this. Let's look at step number 5. Step number 5. This is the part where anybody who invested early, especially under $20, is going to be getting real excited for how much return they've got on their investment at this point. After they achieved vertical integration, becoming a one-stop shop, tokenization, that's when they will easily, in my opinion, be qualified to enter the S&P 500. And what that means is they will be invested in heavily by funds and institutions. And that is kind of the pinnacle moment where share price, where a company really gets repriced and the value takes on a whole nother level. Where if they're maybe like at $50 previously, they can go to 100 and just keep on going. And like a lot of companies that are in the S&P 500, they've gone past 1,000 several times over, especially companies like Apple, Amazon, all the big companies that are in the S&P. All of them, unadjusted, are way past $1,000, which is why my whole point of this video, why this company can make millionaires. So let's actually look at the math on that. Real simple math. So how many shares would you need to buy right now to actually hit $1 million? Which most people don't think is possible, especially if they're new to investing. But in the market, it's one of the few places where it's actually much easier than you think if you find the right companies and you're focused. So let's look at some simple math. If you bought shares right now at $5 and they hit $100 a share, you'd be in $1 million. And that means you'd have to buy 10,000 shares right now, wait for it to hit 100, which in my opinion is going to go way past 100 for it to hit $1 million. So, going down the line, if right now you bought 2,000 shares, when Opendoor hits $500 a share, you'd also be at $1 million. You just only need 2,000 shares to do it. Just have to wait a little longer. And obviously it breaks down even more. So if you bought only 1,000 shares right now at $5 a share, when Opendoor hits $1,000, and like I said, once you hit S&P inclusion, it's only a matter of time before the company hits $1,000. And then it usually does a stock split. It makes it more affordable again. So that's why even this isn't even an insane thing to think about. It just will take a little bit more time. But where else can you invest? Let's see, 1,000 shares right now. That'd be $5,000. Where else can you turn $5,000 into $1 million while you're still alive? Usually, because this would maybe, if they hit all these key points, these 5 signals I'm watching, that could easily be over the next 5, I say between 5 and 10 years conservatively, because you never know how fast things are going to move. That's why I say conservatively, especially when you're solving as big of a problem as they're solving with a CEO that has experience in solving problems. So that's some easy math. Obviously, you could break it down even more. If you got 2,000 shares, it costs you $5,000. But that's why I'm making this video right now, because we can very easily shift and go from $5 a share right now to $10. Then it'll cost you twice as much to buy the same shares. And this is what I try to teach people early on, why you got to be very good at finding value and very good at making quick decisions on whether you want to invest or not. Because when share prices start to move and you start to chase them, it costs you a whole lot more, and it just gives you a worse entry. So thought I'd share all that today just because it's been on my mind on how I just feel more and more like I've seen this movie before, like I said, with Netflix and with AMD. And I figure this time I might as well share my experience and my knowledge. Nothing's guaranteed unless you buy bonds. But when you're dealing with high probabilities, and I'm a conservative investor. And to me, this is something I'm already invested in. In the next video, I'm actually going to share how many shares I've bought so far, and going to share my journey from the shares I've invested in and how long it takes me personally to hit $1 million. So, hope you enjoyed this. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you got any questions in the comments. And if you want to see the next part of my journey, I'm probably going to make it a 5-part series on how long it takes me to hit $1 million. Just hit subscribe, and I'll share transparently everything along the way, the good, the bad, if the company's performing well or not. Just hit subscribe, and thanks for watching.